Hello dear students, welcome to my English class. Today in this video I am going to discuss the textual questions from the poem My Mother at 66 by Kamala. In one of my earlier classes, I had already discussed and explained the poem line by line. If you haven't yet seen that video, I suggest that you should see that video also for your easy understanding of the poem and write answers to any questions. So let's take a look at the questions first. These are the 5 numbers of questions you'll find at page number 91 in your text. I would like you to read the questions aloud. Great. Now before I move on to the next slides, I would like you to take a look at the meaning of 2 words. For example, the word sprinting and the word image in question number 2 and 3 respectively. Sprinting means run very fast, and image means normally a picture, but here the meaning is something different. Here the meaning of the word image is a word or a phrase which is used with a different meaning from its normal one in order to describe something in a way that produces a strong picture in the mind. In other words, it's the use of striking words by poets and authors to create a very picture in our mind. For example, poetic image. Well, now let's move on to the questions and learn their answers one by one. But before that, I would like you to take the text with you for your reference. Here is the first question. What is the kind of pain and ache that the poet feels? The poet was filled with some sadness, while coming to the Cochin airport with her mother. Now, what was that kind of pain and ache? The poet was pained at the thought of old days of her mother. This is old sorry old days of her mother. This is important, old days of her mother. She was pained when she thought of the old days of her mother on looking at the ashen face and separation from her mother. She also thought that she was going to be separated from her mother very soon, because the mother is going to die soon because of her old age. So pain to see her mother has grown old, pale and worn out. So these are some important points for you to to write the answer. Now let's move on to the next question. Question number 2. Why are the young trees described as sprinting? Sorry. Why are the young trees described as sprinting? You know that when somebody travels in a car or bus or train, The trees appear to be moving very fast, as if they're running very fast, which is not true. But here, the word sprinting is used for something else. It symbolizes freshness, energy, vigor, and vitality. Young trees sprinting very fast means freshness, energy, vigor, and vitality, in contrast to the passive, inactive life of her mother's old age. So the poet here wants to show a contrast between the life of an old person and the life of a young person. In our young stage, we are full of freshness, energy, vigor, and vitality. Whereas in our old days, we are very much passive, inactive, and lazy also to some extent. Let's see the next question. Question number 3. Why has the poet brought in the image of the married children spilling out of their homes? Married children spilling out of their homes. Almost same. The poet has made use of two very striking images. One is the sprinting trees, young trees sprinting, and the second one is merry children spilling out of their homes. Now here the question is, why has the poet brought in the image of merry children spilling out of their homes? Spill means come out at great speed. It suggests the idea of youthful vigor and vitality, in contrast to inactivity and passivity of old age. So the contrast is again stressed upon. The world outside the car was very much different from the scenario inside the car. Whereas inside the car, the mother was very old and her face became an wan and worn out face. Whereas the children outside were full of vigor and vitality, strength and energy. So it implies that mother has lost her youth, energy, beauty and charm. These are not to be seen in the mother's face now, in her old days. Now let's move on to the next slide. Question number 4. Why has the mother been compared to the late winter's moon? One of the very important questions which is frequently asked in your board examination. Why has the poet's mother been compared to the late winter's moon? Late winter's moon, especially this phrase. Mother lost her brightness and strength of young age. Lost brightness and strength, became pale and wan. She appeared dull, lifeless as the late winter's moon. Just as the late winter's moon lacks freshness, brightness and strength, similarly poet's mother's face also lacked brightness and strength in her old age. So the comparison is with the late winter's moon. Let's move on to the next question. Question number 5. What do the parting words of the poet and her smile signify? Finally, at the end of the poem, the poet said, "All I did was smile and smile and smile." Refer to the poem in your text. Now, what do these parting words refer to? These parting words are very significant. At the time of leaving from her mother, the poet didn't want to show her real emotions, which was one of sadness, but she wanted to give an expression or impression that she was very happy and she was going to meet her mother once again very soon. So the parting words and her smile signify optimism, expression of hopefulness, and an assurance to see her mother again. So it gives an assurance to her mother that they are again going to meet very soon. So it symbolizes, it shows a note of optimism on the part of the poet. Now there is one more question in the form of an extract. This type of question also comes in your board examination. Read the following extract and answer the questions that follow. This is an extract from the poem. Please refer back to your text, the poem in your text. I looked again, the last few lines of the poem. I looked again at her when pale as a late winter's moon, and felt that old familiar ache, my childish fear. But all I said was, "See you soon, Amma." All I did was smile and smile and smile. Now, the questions are, these are the questions. Who looked pale and when? What was the speaker's familiar ache? Explain as a late winter's moon. Explain this phrase. Explain what is meant by a late winter's moon. And the last question is also important. Identify the figure of speech used in the above lines. So who looked pale and when? It's very simple. The poet's mother looked pale and when. What was the speaker's familiar ache? Ache means pain. The poet's familiar pain was fear for old days. So just see these expression, these words. Important. Speaker's familiar ache refers to the fear for old days, fear for separation from her mother. So the familiar ache refers to the old days, poet's old days, poet's mother's old days, and the fear of being separated from her mother. Third question, explain as a late winter's moon. We have found this question in one of the earlier questions also. It means mother lost her brightness and strength because of her old days, just as the late winter's moon is hazy. Hazy means faded, unclear, and obscure. So the poet has compared her mother's face to the late winter's moon. Finally, the figure of speech used in these lines is simile, which means a comparison. Simile is a figure of speech, which means comparison between two dissimilar things. So the figure of speech is a simile, which is a late winter's moon. So with this, I have come to the end of the discussion of all the questions. I hope that this video will help you to understand the poem as well as to write answers to the questions yourself. If you have liked my video, please like, share and subscribe my channel and inspire me to bring to you more and more videos of these types in future. Thank you.